the sort of treatment of senile dementia, but just generally for as an elderly person's medication. And also, what's this? Yeah, tinnitus. Really helpful in the treatment of tinnitus. Probably due to the blood flow being increased in that area. It always has you need a girl and a boy ginkgo tree to live, so I presume, can't see whether this one's got the fruit on it, doesn't look like it. No. So I guess this is the chap, and that may be the lady over there.
But you only use the leaves?
Yeah, it's the leaves that are used. In Japan and China and places like that, where it grows a lot more, they use the fruit that they
smells,
eat.
Doesn't it?
Well, but funnily enough, the fleshy part smells. But if you get out of the fleshy part and you've got the seed, which has got a hard casing, the seed inside, which is the bit they eat, doesn't smell. But I imagine whoever processes them is
not popular.
Yeah, not popular. It's the leaves of plantain that we use, and you've probably all, and I've said this before as well, but you've probably all heard of Hydrastis canadensis. You can use plantain instead, and it's not endangered, and it's a herb that grows all over Britain and is very undervalued by herbalists. It's great for any sort of mucous membrane treatment for the upper respiratory tract. Great for hay fever. When you dry it, you do have to dry it below 20 degrees because it's a plant that blackens very easily at a high temperature. But once you've dried it, I mean, you can use it fresh as well. Once you've dried it, you can sprinkle it on porridge, in soups, on anything really to eat it, or you can just make it into a tea.
Do you just use the ribwort or the broadleaf? Are they interchangeable?
They're not interchangeable. The broadleaf is used, but for the respiratory membranes, it's the ribwort plantain, and I've never used the broadleaf one at all. I've only ever used lanceolata.
What would you use it?
I think you use the other one on skin conditions as a mucilaginous plant. Don't quote me on that one.
What about
this plant here? Is borage, Borago officinalis. Probably shouldn't be allowed to pick flowers, but pretty blue flowers. They're really gorgeous. You put them in ice cubes and make your ice cubes look really pretty. But it is more commonly the seeds of the borage that are used to get the oil out of them, and it's called starflower oil. Is the commercial preparation of it. It's very high in GLAs, which is gamma-linoleic acid, which is great for the treatment of gynecological disorders, menopause and so on and so forth. And you can eat the leaves as well, if you wanted to, like you would comfrey leaves, although everyone says you shouldn't eat comfrey leaves, but you could. Put them in batter and fry them. When you were saying about the lavender has absolutely lots and lots of uses. It's got a very high volatile oil content to it. When you're making a tincture out of lavender, you want at least 45% alcohol to make that tincture with. It's harvested when it's in flower. It's more commonly used for its actual volatile oil, so it's often the oil that we'd use rather than the tincture. And it's used topically more than anything. Absolutely brilliant for sunburn, insect bites. Can't really go wrong with lavender. I find a really good sunburn cream. You can buy aloe vera gel, just buy it very easily in almost any health food shop. If you stick that in a pot and mix lavender into it, makes a brilliant burn cream for sunburn or actual, from like little oven burns and stuff. Works brilliantly. And lots of people say that it's really helpful in the treatment of headaches as well, but I find it a bit of a cloying smell myself. And what else does it do? Aids sleep, restful sleep. Is the globe artichoke, and that is what we would use for the treatment of liver. It's a very, very good liver herb. It's the leaves that we use. It's very, very bitter. I'm sure nobody would mind too much if you want to take a nibble. Take a nibble and pass it on. And you wouldn't use it.
Wow.
I don't want to tread on any tiny seeds. Cyanara scolimus. C-Y-N-A-R-A. Cyanara scolimus. You wouldn't use it if you've got a particularly damaged liver. You would use it more if your liver has become sluggish and needs a bit of a kicking. It needs to be made to work a bit faster. It's also brilliant for the treatment of hangovers. Absolutely fantastic. It makes the liver work at a faster rate. However, if you've punished your liver very severely, then you would want something like milk thistle, which is Cardus marianus, or Silybum I think it's now, marianus, rather than something like artichoke. It is also useful as a bitter herb from its digestive point of view. It's really bitter, isn't it? I mean, I tend to only use that in capsule form. You try to use it in a tea, nobody's going to drink it, and you try and take it in a tincture, and it's disgusting. I mean, all tinctures are fairly disgusting. Yep. Is common comfrey. It's big leaf plant here. Everybody should have comfrey grown in their garden. It's an absolutely brilliant herb. It's both the root and the leaves that are used. We're no longer allowed to use it internally. That's only absolutely brilliant to treat any sort of joint problem and any sort of skin wounds. Loads of creams will have comfrey in them. One of the ways that I use it, especially for elderly patients, if they're still able to get in and out of a bath, is I get them to cut the comfrey leaves, shove them in some sort of a sack, and then stick that in their bath. And it really seems to help ease aches and pains. And can also be helpful in the treatment of ulcers, and certainly to stop small wounds turning into ulcers as well.